When HotTopic.com was first captured by the Wayback Machine in 1998, it was unlike any other online store of its kind. Rather than reeling customers in by immediately showing off how good and cool their products were, it to some extent did the opposite. It presented customers with essentially nothing but a dark brick wall and a set of intricate, foreboding wrought iron doors under an equally foreboding, grungy neon sign. For those who chose to open those doors with their heavy metal lever, there was no telling what waited in the cobweb-laden abyss behind them. Such an uninviting looking entrance seems like the exact sort of thing a store of any kind would want to avoid. But for Hot Topic, it was different. As a brand, their appeal wasn't to the mainstream. It was to, at the time, niche underground music and fashion scenes like punk, metal, and goth. These scenes reveled in their difference from the rest of the world, going out of their way to separate themselves from the norm in what they wore, what they listened to, how they acted, etc. And to them, Hot Topic was their space. If you didn't like the scary-looking decor, you could feel free to shop somewhere else. So it makes sense that their home in cyberspace would be equally scary and off-putting. But of course, Hot Topic didn't stay that way forever. If it was gonna remain a staple in malls across America, it had to start appealing to the mainstream at some point. These days, the most niche things people usually buy from Hot Topic are Funko Pops, and the store's signature hellish decoration has been largely replaced with detail-less black surfaces and standardized impact font. This change is of course reflected in Hot Topic's website. A mishmash of featureless black and white menus, logos, and text walls, it's a far cry from the intricate hell on cyberspace it once was. But a change from this to this doesn't just happen overnight. Hot Topic's website has had several different designs and functions over the years. What exactly did they look like, and which one was the best? Join me as we dive deep into the history of HotTopic.com. Although most snapshots of HotTopic.com from 1998 look like what I showed in the intro of this video, there's one that doesn't. It's the very first one on the Wayback Machine, taken on February 8th, 1998, when the website was still under construction. As you can see, there isn't much, but there is one blurb of text that provides interesting foreshadowing of what HotTopic.com would become. It began to take shape in an ancient time, when a kiss was but a smooch, corn was still on the cob, Rage Against the Machine was just starting to get irritated, and Skinny Puppy lost all the weight. Until it sprang from the primordial ooze to become the coolest spot to shop ever! It is Hot Topic, and it is definitely not for everybody. It would become very apparent just how not for everybody this website was by May 23rd, 1998, when we see the first solidified incarnation of HotTopic.com. With a pull of a lever, the heavy metal doors swing open, beckoning us to enter, if we dare. Now we see the actual merchandise Hot Topic sells, but the detail in the rest of the website isn't skimped out on. The doors are replaced by an equally intricate metal frame, and we get to see more of that mysterious darkness we saw behind the doors. It turns out to be a ruined Los Angeles, shrouded in darkness and fire. It's a genuinely impressive work of art that emphasizes the anti-establishment culture that Hot Topic was trying to emulate. And it doubles as an eerily accurate prediction of what LA might soon actually look like if things keep going the way they are. As for the font, it too is artistically interesting. The list of merchandise categories on the left notably has a different font entirely, but it still fits well into the website. It wouldn't look out of place in a Tim Burton movie. Things look somewhat different, but still pretty cool on the feedback page. We have a very friendly looking dog here barking out our options to us.
Jobs! Report card! Email!
I'd love to click on these, but I don't like the look of that sign, so I think I'll pass. This website is about more than just buying things and giving feedback, though. It also has a trivia game called Match Wits with Death, where you answer music-based trivia questions fielded by the actual Grim Reaper himself. If you get one right, a gong sound plays and you get a skull. If you get one wrong, Death either chops off your head or electrocutes you. In my humble onion, the risk is more than the reward here, but to each their own. While you play, you can learn fun little factoids about this month's rock star deaths, which are of course worded in an extremely sensitive, tasteful kind of way. There's a lot to love about this website. Its design is incredibly artistic, detailed, and well thought out. It truly feels like an actual Hot Topic location built in the digital world. No more, no less. There's no annoying pop-ups, no tracking of data. I don't really feel like I'm being advertised to here, despite the fact that the entire website is in itself an advertisement. It is somewhat lacking in features, though. As such, by October 13th, 1999, HotTopic.com received its first ever major makeover. While it still has that edgy punk vibe it had in 1998, the 1999 version of HotTopic.com executes that vibe in a much different way. It's arranged like a freak show in some kind of dark haunted circus, with merchandise being suspended from chains and superimposed over a shadowy red stage curtain. The logo looks like it's made of bloody cuts and skin, while garishly featuring all three primary colors. While we're on the topic of font, I'm sure it looked somewhat edgy at the time, but with the context of 2025 internet speak, it just kind of looks like they're saying everything sarcastically. Ugh, privacy, terms of conditions, yeah, there's definitely privacy here. When we click on the store tab, we can clearly see that graphic design is Hot Topic's passion. Not a single one of these logos has anything in common with any of the others. It's absolutely magnificent. The accessories man looks like one of those x-rays where someone swallowed an entire ring of keys, except it's his whole body somehow. Also gotta love how this side menu is just entirely images with no words except help. So you literally can't tell what page you're clicking on. I might be going to a shrine to organ grinder monkeys for all I know. I'm at least happy they put in effort and gave each tab its own custom background and logo. It may look amateurish, but it actually shows a heck of a lot more care for graphic design than a lot of corporate websites do nowadays. You can tell whoever made these was trying their absolute best, and you know what? I applaud them for it. Back on the homepage, we have the single most overjoyed specimen I've ever seen. Clicking on it brings us to Mouth Off, an area where Hot Topic and its community can interact. There's a poll with a bunch of vaguely Hot Topic related questions, a contests page where you can enter to win free merch, rap sheets, which are interviews with random Hot Topic employees, Who Do You Think You Are, where you can share a weird amount of your personal information with Hot Topic for some reason, and I bet you didn't know Hot Topic used to have forums, but they did apparently, and all the posts are unfortunately lost to time now, which is a crying shame. I think we all would have loved to know what user stupid914 had to say. There's another tab you can access from the homepage called Noise, which, contrary to what you might first think, is not named after the cute little noise it makes when you click it. It's Hot Topic's hub for all things music. It has special buttons for the store pages related to band merch, and also offers polls, news, and believe it or not, a second set of forums all about bands and music. The posts on which, like the Mouth Off forums, are also unfortunately lost to time. I sure wish I could read Coco Jumbo and Pillow Whore's opinions on Korn. The last tab on the homepage is the Underground, which is where they hide all the boring stuff, like job openings, store locations, employee reviews, press mentions, customer feedback, and their about page. The only really funny thing here is this image of three old-timey guys looking at a bunch of sausages for some reason. I don't know what this means, but it feels extremely appropriate actually. The design quality of this website definitely took a blow in this incarnation, but in exchange we got more content. And though the design quality isn't the best, that does make it pretty funny, and I have a feeling that might have been what Hot Topic was going for to some extent. The silliness seems fairly self-aware here, and I can definitely get behind that. For a corporate website, there's a surprising amount of personality and charm here, and like with the 1998 version, on most pages of this website, I don't really feel advertised to. These days, whenever a corporation tries to relate to its audience, it always comes across as fake and soulless. But with pages like polls, contests, and forums, I think Hot Topic actually succeeded here. Though it would probably get annoying to have to deal with this image-only sidebar and these headache-inducing backgrounds. I sure hope Hot Topic didn't have any epileptic metalhead customers in 1999. Hot Topic stayed with this look for a couple of years, occasionally changing out the models on the homepage and not much else. Sadly, Guy Fieri If He Only Ate Boiled Chicken didn't last too long, being replaced with Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway in 2000 and Every 40-Year-Old Uncle at a Wedding in 2001. Notably, there was also a logo change around November of that year, which I think was a downgrade, but feel free to let me know which one you think was better in the comments. As for 2002, however, now this corporate website is starting to look more like what most of us recognize as a corporate website. The weird factor from previous incarnations is definitely still there, but it's mixed with a teensy little inkling of standardization and professionalism, aka it could be a lot worse. It definitely still has much more personality than most corporate websites today, just not as much as the literal freak show from 1999. And the user experience is undeniably better and easier. The tabs and merch categories are a lot more clearly defined. They're actual words instead of just images, and they're all neatly organized on the homepage, making for easy navigation to any other page. The community aspects of the site are still there too, under the aptly named tab, Community. We now have actual descriptions of what Noise and Mouth Off are, though for some reason reason they decided to remove the Z from the noise name, immediately making it 1000% less cool. The design for the noise section, however, is genuinely so much cooler than before. This art is amazing and full of punk energy. I especially love the little radio gif flashing back and forth in the corner. There's a few new tabs here too. Buzz for news about musicians and tours for upcoming tour dates are both still here, but we've also got exclusive interviews with musicians, reviews of new albums, and a tab called The Artists, which highlights a particularly popular artist of the month. Over on Mouth Off, like with Noise, we also have some amazing new art. Again, lots of genuine punk energy, with a specific focus on yapping people's ears off. As someone whose entire YouTube channel is dedicated to that, much respect. First, we have a vent channel, which turns out to just be the new name for Hot Topics messaging boards. Talk to Us is for customer feedback, Polls is self-explanatory, and on Who Do You Think You Are, they still want you to give them all your personal information for some reason. It must have been so hard for corporations before they figured out how to steal your data with cookies behind the scenes instead of in your face like this. I can't help but feel bad for them. The contests page is pretty self-explanatory, but there's also a new tab in the community section called Connections, which is a list of various websites that Hot Topic wanted to promote for whatever reason. This tab stands out to me because it's not something you really see much of these days. We all know how centralized the web has become, with most people relying on a few massive websites for everything they want to do online, and actively distrusting smaller, more personalized websites. It's become such a problem that a movement called the indie web has sprung up, which tries to emulate the decentralized, personalized feel of the early web. And this Connections page is a great example of how that early web looked. These aren't Twitter or Instagram pages. These are standalone, independently hosted websites whose owners have the freedom to make them look however they want and say whatever they want.
Welcome to the website.
Rather than trying to keep people on HotTopic.com for as long as possible for monetization purposes, Hot Topic is suggesting other websites for people to go visit, thereby creating a real sense of community and connectedness. This is what people are talking about when they say they're nostalgic for the early web. Overall, I think this website does a pretty good job at blending the down-to-earth underground feel early Hot Topic gives off with the corporate consumerism needed for a trustworthy online storefront. Details like the awesome punk art on the community pages and the top and bottom menus being made out of punk wristbands really show off the effort and personality they put into this website design. Though I gotta love how whoever put these wristbands here didn't give a single inkling of a shit about their resolution or dimensions. They unintentionally made it kind of feel like this website was designed by the exact kind of MySpace emo kid that they were trying to appeal to with their products. It's kind of perfect in a way. This is pretty much how the website stayed for the next few years. On the homepage, we didn't see much change aside from a higher resolution logo and a different menu font. In 2006, they added some new tabs to the community section, including Neighborhood Noise, which would use your location to tell you about bands near you, Fashion, which showcased cool outfits and articles about different fashion styles, and 30 Years of Punk, which celebrated the 30th anniversary of the rise of the punk movement with punk-themed trivia and merchandise. But the essential framework of the website would stay the same. Until 2007. 2007 was when HotTopic.com would really begin shifting its identity. After nearly 5 years without a major renovation, the website completely changed once again around February 10th. Right off the bat, I noticed that this version actually seems to be more stylized than the previous one, which is pretty surprising. Going into this video, I was expecting the stylization to only diminish as time went on, as the rules of standard web design became stricter and stricter. But 2007 proves that dead wrong. All the buttons are inset into ripped, messy, punk-looking paper and fabric. All the backgrounds have detailed textures, and there's not really any perfectly straight lines to be seen. Yet, at the same time, everything seems logically organized and easy to find. I could legitimately see Hot Topic still using this design today. I think it holds up pretty well and embodies what Hot Topic is supposed to be all about. Clicking on the tabs here, which actually get circled in red ink when you hover over them, further emphasizing the analog punk theme, we see mostly just merchandise aside from one brand new tab. This is basically just the community tab, but renamed, and I actually think this name suits it a bit better. It's a clever bit of wordplay that references both dirt as in news and dirt as in an alternative music scene context. Rest assured though, despite the name change, the music buzz, polls, contests, and message boards are all still there. And even after 5 years, the demand for hot goth guys hasn't gone away. By the way, 2007 is the first year where the Wayback Machine has an actually working example of what Hot Topic Radio looked like, and it's pretty much as I expected. A tiny little pop-up where you could stream hot new songs from up-and-coming bands. It's a really cool feature, and I think this button here is just begging for someone to make a hyperpop album cover with it or something. Later in 2007, there was another logo change, dispensing entirely with the red color, likely to fit more naturally with the black and white background. But then, in late 2008, it happened. This is the moment that I'm sure we've all been dreading. The moment when the siren call of mainstream appeal really started to get to Hot Topic. The moment when all that stylization I just hyped up not moments ago began to disappear. The detailed, artistically messy backgrounds were replaced with a singular white rectangle, with a bunch of smaller black rectangles on top of that. There was a collage of punk band logos in the background, but it was washed out, just barely visible. A perfect metaphor for the vanishingly small influence that the very underground music scenes Hot Topic started out catering to were having on them. There was no longer a single piece of alternative fashion on the front page. It was all replaced by the ravaging scourge of 2008 known as the Twilight fandom. This poor woman looks like she's being held at gunpoint to take this photo. I've seen hostage videos whose subjects have less pain in their eyes. Pretty much all of Hot Topic's music content was relegated to the Dirt tab, which still hosted polls, news, and sweepstakes. Hot Topic actually launched their own music selling platform in 2008 called Shockhound. Which, thanks to its function as part store, part advertising service for Hot Topic's merchandise, was able to sell music at competitively low prices. They also hosted their own events and contests, and produced video interviews with musicians for the Hot Topic Dirt tab.
Oh, we've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too strong to say no. We both know what's been going on. You know the rules and who's gonna play it. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Wanna make you understand. Never gonna give.
The message boards, however, were unfortunately scrapped. Then, in July of 2009, Hot Topic Radio was also scrapped. In October of 2009, the Hot Topic logo received its final change, becoming the standard all-caps stencil we know today. Maybe it's just my maximalist side talking, but I personally think this logo change was a pretty big downgrade. The old jagged look spoke a lot to Hot Topic's messy, rebellious vibe. It was super unique and detailed, and these stencil letters feel way too uniform and standardized in comparison. It's also not a great sign that when this logo change occurred, the everything about the music tagline was removed. In December of 2009, even the little music widget in the bottom right corner of the homepage was no more. And in 2011, Shockhound.com ceased to exist. By 2012, the Dirt tab was renamed to Music, and stopped reporting on music news altogether. I think if I had to name an exact year when HotTopic.com stopped being quote-unquote all about the music, it would be 2013, when the Music tab was renamed simply to Band Tees. Or maybe 2014 when they added a Funko tab, but that's another story. Some might say this feels like a hurtful betrayal of Hot Topic's roots, but me personally, I can't say I'm surprised. Hot Topic was always a corporation at the end of the day, not a person. They were literally founded by a former executive of the Children's Place, which sells the exact kind of quote-unquote prep clothes that this advertisement from 2007 was whining about. In 2013, they were sold to a private equity firm for $600 million. They were always going to do what was best for their bottom line, and when it became clear that the stylization of 2007 and previous wasn't necessary for them to be successful, it had to go. Now, sadly, there isn't much interesting website history left to talk about. HotTopic.com has been nothing more than a slew of black and white rectangles showcasing decent to mediocre pop culture merch ever since. It's completely unrecognizable as the love letter to the online alternative scene fandom that it once was. Personally, my favorite version of HotTopic.com was of course the one from 1998. Any website that you have to pull a giant lever to open a set of foreboding iron doors to get into immediately has me hooked, no questions asked. I would immediately buy all the products on this website if it were still around. But if I had to name the objective best version of the website, I'd have to go with 2007. It's really a shame that that version only lasted for a year, because I think they pretty much hit the nail on the head with it. It's incredibly artistic and alternative looking, while still being recognizable as a professional store. It would even work pretty easily with their current logo. Here's a mock-up of what that would look like. Whatever design Hot Topic might choose to go with in the future, if they ever do redesign their website again, I hope it's at least more stylized than what they've got right now, 'cause woof. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. Let me know if you found this topic interesting, or if you have any ideas for other websites or topics I should look into, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!
RAR. XD, D, 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 D.